The calm after the first attack did not last long. Ethan barely had time to adjust to the quiet when the station shook violently once more. Alarms blared, red lights flashing across every corridor. The rogue faction had regrouped, and this time, they were more organized, more aggressive. Ethan's heart raced as he ran alongside Lyra toward the central control hub. "They're hitting us harder," she said, her voice calm but urgent. "We need full power to the shields and then to the defense drones. You handle the reroute." "I handle the attackers." Ethan's hands flew across the console, his mind calculating energy flows and power limits. Every choice mattered. If he rerouted too much power to one system, another could fail. Sweat ran down his face as he adjusted circuits, rerouted conduits, and monitored energy consumption. Lyra's presence was intense, her eyes glowing faintly as she scanned the corridor for threats, but she never once questioned his actions. The first wave of attackers breached the docking bay again. This time they moved in coordinated swarms, agile and deadly. Lyra launched herself at them with a blur of motion, her armor amplifying her strength and reflexes. She struck with precision, disarming and disabling multiple attackers at once. Ethan watched, amazed. He had never seen combat like this. Every movement calculated, every strike perfect, and yet alive with fluidity. He realized he was not just observing, he was learning. He started predicting the attacker's movements based on Lyra's reactions, helping him reroute power in anticipation of where the next breach would occur. His human instincts, his creativity in solving problems, gave them a slight edge against the technologically superior rogue forces. The station shook again. A massive explosion rocked the central hub, sending sparks flying across the floor. Ethan stumbled, hitting a panel, but he quickly got back to work. "We're losing the main shield," he shouted. Lyra's eyes narrowed. She darted forward, her armor releasing energy pulses that pushed the attackers back. "Keep rerouting," she commanded. "I will hold them here." Ethan's fingers moved faster than ever. He bypassed damaged circuits, rerouted auxiliary power, and initiated emergency protocols. The shields flickered, then stabilized, glowing with a stronger energy as the defense drones activated. Small automated ships whirred to life, intercepting rogue attackers and keeping them at bay. One of the rogue ships broke through the outer defenses, heading straight for the station's reactor core. Ethan's mind raced. If it hit, the entire station could be destroyed. He had seconds to act. Spotting an energy conduit exposed by the explosion, he rerouted the flow to create a magnetic field trap. The incoming ship slammed against the field, sparking violently before being pushed back into space. Lyra looked at him, her expression unreadable at first. Then a faint nod of approval. "Impressive," she said. "You are more capable than I imagined." Ethan felt a rush of pride, quickly tempered by the realization that the battle was far from over. The rogue faction was persistent, and they had not yet lost. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a deep hum resonated through the station. Ethan realized it wasn't coming from the station itself. It was something outside. Lyra's eyes widened as she detected the energy signature. "They're not alone," she said. "Reinforcements. Bigger, faster, more dangerous." Before Ethan could respond, the station's gravity shifted. A massive alien ship slammed into the docking bay, tearing through metal like paper. Alarms screamed, and the floor tilted under the impact. Ethan and Lyra were thrown off balance, but she quickly grabbed him, holding him steady. "You need to finish the reroute," she shouted. "If the shields fail, we're done." Ethan gritted his teeth, his hands moving across the console with precision. He rerouted auxiliary energy to the main shields, diverting power from non-essential systems. Sparks flew and the console glowed with warning lights, but the shields held, bending under the pressure but not breaking. Lyra launched herself toward the breach again. Ethan watched her move with a mix of fear and awe. She fought like a whirlwind, her armor glowing as energy pulses struck rogue attackers, disabling them instantly. Her movements were elegant and deadly, a perfect combination of alien technology and raw skill. Ethan knew he had to do more than just follow instructions. He had to think creatively, anticipate problems before they happened. Spotting a weak point in the station's hull, he initiated a controlled venting of the outer airlocks. The sudden vacuum forced several attackers back, buying Lyra precious seconds to regroup. She glanced at him, her glowing eyes meeting his. "You are human," she said, almost in disbelief. "And yet, you think like us. Adapt, improvise, survive." Ethan felt a surge of determination. He was human, yes, but he had knowledge, creativity, and courage that no alien technology could replicate. He wasn't just a weak link. He was essential. The battle raged for hours. Ethan worked tirelessly, rerouting power, activating drones, sealing breaches, and repairing damaged systems. Lyra fought alongside him, her skill unmatched, but she relied on his ingenuity to make the defense effective. Together they were a combination neither side had anticipated. At one point, a rogue attacker slipped past Lyra's defenses, charging straight at her. Ethan saw it too late to stop it with technology, but he had an idea. He grabbed a magnetic stabilization rod and flung it with precision, knocking the attacker off balance. Lyra struck immediately, neutralizing the threat. "You saved me," she said quietly, a rare moment of vulnerability in her tone. "I couldn't let you die," Ethan replied, catching his breath. "Not when we've come this far." She nodded, a faint glow in her eyes that suggested trust, something she rarely showed. Ethan realized that this partnership was more than necessity. They had begun to understand each other, combining human creativity with alien strength. As the rogue forces dwindled, retreating back into space, Ethan and Lyra stood in the central hub, surveying the damage. Sparks flew from broken panels. Alarms continued to blare in warning, and the station's hull was scarred from the attacks. Yet they had survived. Lyra turned to Ethan, her posture relaxed for the first time since she had arrived. "You have proven something today," she said. "Humans are not weak. Your kind is resourceful, adaptable, courageous. This station would not have survived without you." Ethan felt a strange mix of pride and humility. I just did my part," he said softly. "No," she replied. "You did more. You adapted, you improvised, and you survived. That is something even some of my own species cannot do." He looked at her, realizing how much he had underestimated himself. All his doubts about being weak, fragile, or expendable. They seemed trivial now. Out here in the vast expanse of space, humanity's value was not in brute strength but in cleverness, courage, and the ability to work with others, even species far beyond their own understanding. For the first time, Ethan felt that he was not just a human engineer on a distant station. He was part of something larger, something that transcended species and borders. Humanity had been tested and had proven its worth. Lyra studied him for a long moment. "I have underestimated your kind," she admitted. "Perhaps it is time to reconsider what we have always believed about humans." Ethan smiled faintly, exhausted but elated. "Maybe we're more capable than anyone thought." She nodded, a rare gesture of respect. "Yes, and now we prepare for the next challenge. The rogue faction will not forget this defeat. But together, we will endure." Ethan felt a surge of determination. He was human, yes, and fragile compared to Lyra and her people. But he had knowledge, ingenuity, and courage. He had proven that humans could survive, adapt, and even thrive against overwhelming odds. As they moved to secure the station and repair critical systems, Ethan realized something profound. Out here in the cold silence of space, humans were not alone. They had allies, they had purpose, and most importantly, they had the ability to make a difference. And somewhere in the dark expanse beyond the station, the rogue faction plotted their next move. But Ethan knew that when they returned, humanity would be ready. Because humans were not just survivors. They were thinkers, innovators, and fighters in their own right. Lyra glanced at him again, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "You are more than I expected. Perhaps your kind is exactly what this universe needs." Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of pride and hope he had never known. He was human, and today humanity had proven its worth. The stars streaked past the ship's viewports as Alex stared out at the endless black of space. He had never felt so small yet so alive. Lyra sat beside him, her silver eyes reflecting the starlight, her fingers resting lightly on the console as she guided the ship with an ease born of centuries of training. "You seem nervous," she said, her voice calm but teasing. "Human engineers are supposed to be brave, right?" Alex glanced at her, a wry smile tugging at his lips. "I'm fine, just aware of the risks." Lyra laughed softly. "Good. Awareness is useful, but hesitation will slow you down. Remember, sometimes the boldest moves are the safest." Alex shook his head, still trying to process everything. Just yesterday, he had been in a quiet lab, staring at an artifact he couldn't understand. Now he was hurtling through uncharted space, following a map projected by that same mysterious device. And beside him was Lyra, a being unlike any human, yet teaching him more about courage, creativity, and trust than anyone else ever had. The artifact had given them coordinates to a distant star system, one with several planets that glowed faintly even from light years away. Lyra explained that these planets had been settled by an ancient civilization long vanished, leaving behind remnants of advanced technology, much of which could still be activated. That technology, she hinted, might help struggling worlds survive, adapt, or thrive. "Are you sure we're ready for this?" Alex asked as he adjusted some controls on the console. "I mean, we don't even know what's waiting for us there." Lyra's expression softened, but her eyes held the same spark of playful confidence. "That is exactly why we are ready. You humans are capable of things no one expects. We may have tools and knowledge, but you have imagination, creativity, and courage. That is why I chose to work with you." Alex felt a surge of determination. He realized that Lyra was right. He had always relied on careful planning, on following rules. But now, in the vastness of space, he needed more than rules. He needed ingenuity, boldness, and the willingness to face the unknown. The ship approached the first planet, a world with jagged mountains and wide oceans that glimmered under twin suns. Sensors detected remnants of artificial structures scattered across the surface. Lyra guided Alex through the approach, showing him how to activate protective shields and scan for potential hazards. As they descended, the ship's landing thrusters kicked in, sending clouds of dust and rock swirling around them. Alex gripped the armrest, feeling the tension in his muscles while Lyra calmly monitored their trajectory. "Steady, steady. And we're down," she said, her voice like music in the tense cockpit. They stepped out onto the planet's surface, the air filtered and safe, yet carrying a faint tang of something alien, metal, energy, and time itself. Ruins stretched before them, silent and mysterious, with strange symbols etched into stone and metal. Alex marveled at the sheer scale of it all. "Where do we start?" he asked. Lyra pointed to a nearby structure half buried in the sand. "There, that appears to be an energy core or control center. If the ancient civilization left anything useful, it will be there." As they approached, Alex's engineering instincts kicked in. He studied the alien mechanisms, the glowing panels and moving parts. "It's unlike anything I've ever seen," he muttered. "The logic, it's different, but not impossible," Lyra nodded. "Exactly. Humans think differently. You see connections we would not consider. That is why I need your help." Together they examined the structure. Alex worked carefully, his hands moving over alien controls while Lyra guided him, pointing out hidden sequences and subtle cues. Slowly they activated a small device buried within the core, and a holographic projection sprang to life. A map of the planet appeared, showing locations of hidden chambers, energy sources, and storage rooms. Alex's eyes widened. This is incredible. We could access all of this?" Lyra smiled. "Yes, but only if we are careful. Many of these devices are still active. One wrong move could set off defenses." They moved cautiously, exploring chamber after chamber. Alex was amazed by the ingenuity of the ancient builders. Automated systems, energy grids, and self-repairing mechanisms that seemed centuries ahead of current technology. Lyra occasionally demonstrated skills that Alex could not yet master, opening panels or deciphering codes with ease. Despite the tension, there were moments of lightness. Lyra teased him when he fumbled with controls, and Alex found himself laughing, forgetting the dangers around them. He realized that part of exploration was joy, the thrill of discovery, the excitement of solving problems, and the bond shared with someone who understood the value of curiosity. Hours passed, and as night fell on the planet, the sky filled with glowing clouds of gas that swirled like liquid light. Alex looked up, feeling small yet inspired. "I never imagined a place like this existed," he whispered. Lyra nodded, standing beside him. "And it exists because someone dared to build it. Humans, aliens, all of us, we leave marks on the universe. But some marks endure longer than others. That is what we are discovering here." As they prepared to rest for the night, the artifact in Alex's pack began to pulse gently. Its light was soft, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. Alex took it out, feeling a sense of connection as if it were alive. "Do you feel that?" he asked. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "Yes. It is responding to the energy on this planet. We are close to something important." The next day they continued their exploration. following the artifact signals to a massive structure hidden beneath the surface. They descended into a chamber filled with intricate machinery, energy conduits, and what appeared to be a control seat at the center. The artifact resonated with a bright pulse when Alex approached. "This is it," Lyra said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Whatever the ancient civilization built, this is the heart of it." Alex studied the controls. The interface was unlike anything human or alien, a mixture of logic, intuition, and energy manipulation. He placed his hands on it, feeling a strange connection. Slowly, he began to understand the flow of energy, the sequences required to activate the system safely. Lyra guided him, her voice steady, her presence reassuring. Together, they activated the device. Energy surged through the chamber, illuminating every corner. The holographic display expanded, showing data about the planet, its resources, and possibilities for restoration and growth. Alex realized that this technology could help struggling worlds, provide energy, and even heal environmental damage. Lyra looked at him, her expression filled with respect. "You see? Human ingenuity, courage, creativity. You understood what many others could not." Alex smiled, feeling proud yet humbled. We did it together," Lyra nodded. "Yes, but this is just the beginning. There are more planets, more discoveries, more challenges, and you will continue to surprise me." As they prepared to leave the planet, Alex reflected on the journey. He had started as a cautious engineer, alone in a lab, uncertain and frustrated. Now he was part of something bigger, a mission that tested his mind, his courage, and his spirit. He had learned from Lyra, yet she had also learned from him the value of human creativity, the power of imagination, and the bravery that comes from daring to face the unknown. The ship lifted off, ascending into the glittering expanse of space. Alex took one last look at the planet below, feeling a sense of awe and responsibility. They were explorers now, not just of space, but of potential, of understanding of what humans could achieve when they dared to try. Lyra glanced at him, her expression softening. "The universe is vast, human. Dangerous, yes, but full of opportunity, and you have what it takes to shape it." Alex nodded, determination burning in his chest. "Then let's see where it leads." As the ship set course for the next uncharted world, Alex felt a surge of excitement and hope. He knew challenges awaited, but he also knew that humans could face them with courage, ingenuity, and heart. And beside him, Lyra's presence reminded him that no matter how vast the stars, partnership, trust, and creativity made even the impossible achievable. The artifact pulsed once more, bright and steady like a guiding heartbeat through the cosmos. Alex and Lyra, unlikely partners at the start, were now explorers of the unknown, their journey only beginning. Together they would discover, solve, and inspire, and humanity's brilliance would shine across the stars.